Good afternoon. Well, it looks like good evening. So we are in Ho Chi Minh, and we'll be uh, taking a trip to Hanoi. So Hanoi is about a 700-mile journey. We're cold and dark with a 737-800. Um, I thought I would just walk y'all through the usual. We're cold and dark. Everything is set. I have already set up my flight plan in SimBrief, so it will be waiting for us inside of the aircraft to get set up. Um, let's just walk through everything. Let's have a little journey. I've got my window, my nice passenger window set, kind of camera views. I like that, by the way, when I'm flying, especially when you're uh, at your cruise altitude and you're just chilling. Um, Nice to have those window views. You can kind of get a feel what the passengers are. One thing about right now is it's dark. I don't know. I'm trying to think. UTC time. We'll look at UTC time in a second in the craft. Um, but I'm not sure what time it is here. It'd be good, pilot not knowing what time it is. Right. Well, what do you say that um, I'm going to go ahead and hook up a GPU. I normally don't do it this way. And I didn't put us at the gate. I put us here at a tie down. I thought, and our runway, that is our runway right there. So we're coming off of runway. Pull it up. So we're going off on runway 25 left. So we're right here at it. So that was lazy of me. Some would say it's well strategized. So anyway, I'm going to go ahead and drop stairs. That is a nice model. This 737-800. What's next to us over there? I think that's another 737-800 over there. But it's just a crisp. I have my settings I've got set up in Xplane right now, latest version. In fact, I just updated, just a moment ago to I guess an update that just came out today. Um, I'm not sure. I haven't read the notes yet. Maybe if someone wants to comment on what exactly it did or didn't do, I'm not sure. The only thing in your cockpit you can see is get that going. We're going to go ahead and get some lights up here in the cockpit. Just a little bit of light. It's too bright for now. Alright, we're on the GPU, and we'll stay on it for now. We'll wait for everything to come up. Let's go ahead and run through some of our tests here. Get the alignment going. I'm walking through. Usually, I just make sure the guards are dropped wherever they need to be dropped. I'm going to go ahead and put the bleed on because that will come into play in a minute. Auto seatbelts on auto, and we're going to go ahead and have those on. And we want to make sure that our steady position light is on, and I always just leave on the anti-collision light for now. Should keep us where we need to be. And down here let's go ahead and do a quick test. Test. 3 green. Okay. And we're going to go ahead and initiate here. Let's get our GPS, our RS alignment in place so we can get some nice colors. Whoa, ta-da! And we're going to go ahead and request our flight plan. So I hit RTE on the FMS. Much different than the McDo. Totally different than the McDo. In fact, that's the biggest thing going back and forth between the McDo and this. Okay, request load is ready. Let's load it up. We're going to activate that. And the first thing I always do after I've loaded the flight plan here, with this is on the Zibo, is I'll go to legs, and I'm looking if there are any list like off the mark discontinuities, and I don't see any. We're going to be going out, by the way. Our departure runway is 25 left. It's already set there. And we're going to be going in on 11 right. And I've got some settings for that I can go ahead and load. So we're coming in ILS 11 right from the south. But let's see. I'm saying I've got several choices for 11 right. I got a boatload of choices for 11 right. But I'm going to choose. I'm going to choose the first one I see here, which is the south. So ILS 11 right, and that gives us a lattice. Let's see how that looks. That actually looks good. Okay, I'm going to leave 11 right in there in the settings. So we're going to go in here. We're looking for ILS 11 right, and we're looking for an S, I think. ILS 11 right. I can't find an S for 11 right. Let me see. ILS. It says it does say LSS 11 right. I don't know why I don't have a corresponding one. Let's double check that. Let's see. No, it only gives me 2 choices. So in that case here, I'm going to do ILS 11 right Y. That's the Bison is where it goes from the transitions to the approach. And that's why it's got that discontinuity in there. And I don't really need that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go here. I'm going to take 361. I'm going to bring 361 and put it right here. And I think we're good. That should give us a decent approach. Some lights in there. Bring up those hydraulics. Last thing, got a little bit more light there. All right. Now we're going to initiate. In fact, let's look outside. Do I already have stairs out there? I do not. Okay, that's all right. We are going to to fuel and weight balance. We're going to do airside services and load OFP. It says we should have fuel of 19,627 pounds. Let's load that. We should start seeing some activity there. Stairs are there. Okay. See on that side. Okay. I think I do have it sped up, so I don't have it real time right now. So it may operate a little bit quicker. We'll see. Yeah, we do. Right, RTO needs to be down. We'll go ahead and leave that in the down position. We're going to bring up the flight directors and auto throttle. It's right on that cockpit. And as you see here, cargo is already loaded. Fuel is being loaded at a pretty brisk pace. And after that, you're going to see the passengers load. I have this set, no smoking, set to auto. It has to be either auto or on, and then it will do the load. And I'm going to go ahead and introduce you to say intentions on this one here. Say intentions has been kind of hit and miss lately. I hope they're feeling better, but they've just been slower, like not as responsive. Although the ATC, I must say, most of the time it guides you correctly, like when it vectors you. But I don't think I would say I totally count on it. Not quite. Here are passengers loaded.
Fuel is all loaded up and you are good to go.
Passengers are 100% loaded. We're going to go to init ref. We're going to go N1 limit, takeoff. Flaps are going to be at 15 for takeoff. Ooh, that didn't do anything.
Flight attendants, prepare your doors for departure, please. Cross
that was peculiar.
Alright, we've got everyone strapped in. Give us a ring if you need anything.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. On behalf of Delta Sky Team and our global partners, welcome on board your Delta Flight.
Oh, my fault. I had a brain flatulanto there. I hadn't loaded the performance initialized performance, so that's what brings it in. Our reserves on this flight, I'm looking it up here, will be 7.9. So 7.9. Load that. Now if we go to N1 limit, ooh, miraculously there we go. So we're gonna load our V1V rotate and V2 settings. Looks like 140 is our setting we're gonna load in here. Rotate's actually lower. Rotate's actually 130. Wow. Wow. We want to put in our QNH. QNH on this side of the world is 1006. So we need to switch this over to HEPA, HPA, and we're loading 1006. As I load that, it's also updating it here, and updating it on the other flight director. That comes in real handy because you don't have to do it in multiple places. So we're on map now, and all we need now is our cruise altitude, and we're flying at 350. So cruises and I always do this. You don't have to do this, but I always set the flight directors to the runway I'm taking off on. So we're going to put this on 25. Yeah, and this isn't necessary on takeoff, but it's an awareness thing. Just spatial awareness is everything. Okay, territory there. We're going to put, and we're going to go ahead and fire up the APU. And once APU is fully fired up, that's when I'll switch over to the APU bus instead of the GPU. Good evening, Stephanie. It's good to have you today. Can you get our IFR clearance? She's been awfully quiet. Right here, we want to crank up the APU. That way, now we no longer need the ground power, and we can knock off the ground power, the GPU. Something here for the initial heading. I look in my legs, and right now it says that our takeoff, when we take off, we will be going to a 250. Well, actually, we're on 250 because that's our takeoff, but yeah, we can go ahead and line that up. Let's leave the heading on 250. That way, if anything crazy happens, if we have a rejected takeoff, we are ready to go. Okay. Right. We'll see why my Copilot is AOL. That would be because she's not loaded. That's weird. 3000 is no longer supported. Please downgrade immediately. This is my say intentions. That's weird. Try that one more time. We're going to try say intentions again. That's a strange message. Never gotten that before. That actually, it's actually telling me to downgrade. Let's see what happened. Can't say that I even know how to downgrade. Let me see. Hold on, let's see what we need to do here. Okay. You know what? Say intentions is kind of a big part of what we do. So why don't we run out here real quick to say intentions. Okay, close your eyes for a minute. Alright, so I'm going to this is latest version here, 3.00. Let's load ours one more time. Let's see how it comes up. .3003. That's what it says. Say Intentions sometimes has as many as it can have up to 2, 3, 4 updates a day. It's very like dynamic, and I kind of you kind of have to roll with it because honestly, it does. It's a nice feature to have and to fly with. So we're gonna see if that gets us back in the game. Now. Look at that. I don't know what happened, but I think we're back. So yeah, it's got us at the right place. Good evening, Stephanie. You are in charge of all comms.
Good morning, Steve. I am ready to handle the comms whenever you need me.
I need you to get our IFR clearance.
I'll get our IFR clearance.
And because we're at a tie down right now, I'm going to go ahead and start the engines.
Tansan yacht clearance, Delta 123 Alpha Zulu, requesting IFR clearance. We have Lima.
I'll grab that clearance. Give me just a minute.
Delta 3 Alpha Zulu, information Lima is current. Cleared to Noi Bai via the Kadu to Delta departure, then is filed. Departure runway 25 left, initial climb to 7,000 feet. Departure on 126.35, squawk 1216.
Slow down.
I am working on that clearance. Stand by.
You're going to be a horse.
Ladies and gentlemen, we'll be taking off in just a few minutes. Flight attendants, please prepare the cabin for departure.
Okay, the cabin is secured. Have a good flight.
It's nice textures, by the way, on the runway. That looks good. Looks really good. This is our departure runway right here. Okay. We are up, so that means now we're going to do window heat, probes, packs are to auto. We're going to switch to the engine buses and off with the APU. And we're going to cut the APU bleed off. or not. It's not needed anymore. Yaw damper is already active. I activated that earlier. Turn the lights off. And since the last Xplane updates, I can actually see the cockpit without at night, so it looks great. Looks great. It's like, I could put some more light right there if I wanted to. Actually, that looks good. I'm good. See, I could put a flood. I could add little floodlights on there that lights it up better. In fact, that looks better. And we're squawking here, so I'm going to go ahead and put our squawking to TCAS. So you see here that we're cleared to Noi via the Cadu 2D departure. I'm going to double check that in S filed. Let's check that. Make sure that we're up to date on our departure.
I'll have your clearance in just a second.
I don't think we are. Hold on a second. We're on the Cadu to Kadu 2D. Kadu 2D. And we are. So we're good there. VNAV will actually be incrementally taking us up to our climb altitude. So we're in good shape there. Stephanie, we are ready for our taxi clearance.
I can't handle the taxi clearance unless I'm in charge of the comms. Let me know if you want to hand over comms control.
Stephanie, I would like to hand over all comms controls to you. You're in charge of comms.
I'll take over the comms, Steve.
Now, Stephanie, would you please get our taxi clearance?
I'll get our taxi clearance.
She's fairly easy to work with. Brian, he can have a little bit of a arrogant attitude, and then I have one that I love her, and but she talks so slow.
On that ground, taxi to runway 25 left via Sierra 1.
Runway 25 left via Sierra 1, Delta 123 Alpha Zulu.
All right, we can do that. Parking brakes off. That was convenient. Alright, now that we're stopped, we're actually going to be activating our time. That'll give us our time in flight. And Stephanie, can you get our takeoff clearance, please?
I'll get our takeoff clearance.
we're gonna hit. We need to pay attention to some weather when we get to the Kadam waypoint.
Runway 14, wind 070 at 5, cleared for takeoff. After takeoff, fly runway heading until reaching 500, then proceed on course.
Transonyat Tower, Delta 123 Alpha Zulu, holding short of runway 25 left, ready to depart.
Delta 123 Alpha Zulu, Tansanyat Tower, runway 25 left, winds 210 at 7, cleared for takeoff.
We may be above
runway
it.
25 left, cleared for takeoff. Delta 123 Alpha Zulu.
Tenerife Tierra, solicito puesta en marcha y retroceso Max 252.
I'm going to introduce you to Black Box or to Delta. This is a Delta virtual flight, but I think you'll enjoy a little bit of the background.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. On behalf of Delta Sky Team and our global partners, welcome on board your Delta flight. As you're making your way to your seat, we kindly ask that you please step into your row and out of the aisle as quickly as possible. Allow those passengers behind you to make their way to their seat as well. If you're traveling with a larger vehicle,
Engines too continuous
go
for
ahead and
takeoff.
guide your wheels or handles first on either side of the aircraft. Keeping in mind that the overhead bin space is shared space, so if the bin directly above your seat is already
Seatbelt
full,
sounds
go ahead and
on.
utilize the next available space. If you brought in a second item with you, such as a briefcase, tote bag, laptop bag, backpack, you can go ahead and utilize that space under this seat in front of you, so that we can utilize that overhead bin space for your larger bags without having to check them plane side to your final destination. Feel free to utilize your mobile phones, tablets, and e-readers while we're here at the gate. However, once we close our boarding door, you must please place these items into airplane mode or turn off your cellular service. So we'd like to thank you all for choosing to fly Delta. Welcome on board.
All right. Yeah, the weather. Our weather is. We're going to be flying through some, but I'm hoping. I'm checking to see if we're above it.
Once again, good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome on board your Delta flight. So in just a moment, we'll be showing you a brief presentation on the safety features of this aircraft. We kindly ask that you please direct your attention to the video monitors and flight attendants in the aisle, even if you are a frequent flyer. Thank you so much.
Welcome aboard, and thank you for choosing Delta for 100 years and counting.
Delta Airlines.
The health and safety of our customers and crew is our #1 priority and the shared responsibility of everyone on board. So, before we depart, please pay attention to this important message. Stow all carry-on items in an overhead bin and place smaller items completely under the seat in front of you.
Larger electronic devices must be placed in a bag. Handheld portable electronic devices, including mobile phones, should also be secured.
Keep the aisles, exits, and bulkhead areas clear. If you lose an electronic device in your seat, please do not adjust your seat and ask a crew member for help.
As we leave the gate, fasten your seatbelt by inserting the metal chip into the buckle and adjusting the strap so it's low and tight across your back. To release, lift the top of the buckle. If your seat has shoulder harness, attach the metal chip.
Contact departure on 126.35.
To release, push the metal chip down.
Switching to
Stay
departure on
seated with your seatbelt fastened when the seatbelt sign
Delta
is on,
123
and
Alpha
keep
Zulu.
it fastened whenever you're seated in case of sudden rough air. In the event of rough air, the crew might also need to buckle up for safety. We appreciate your understanding if our service is interrupted.
Federal
departure. Delta 123 Alpha Zulu. Morning, climbing past 2000.
Delta 123 Alpha Zulu, Tanzania departure, radar contact.
The use of e-cigarettes or any smokeless product
A lot going on right now, isn't there?
is not allowed on any Delta flight. Federal law prohibits tampering with, disabling, or destroying restroom smoke detectors.
There are 8 exits on this plane, 8 doors, 4 on each side. Each door has a detachable slide that can be used as a ramp. All bags behind. Air and baggage will slow the evacuation. All exits are clearly marked with the green exit symbol.
We
Locate
need
the
to
nearest
pay
exits
very
and
close
remember,
attention
they
to
might be
the
behind
weather.
you. If we lose power, lights will illuminate the aisles to guide you to an exit.
It's unlikely, but if cabin pressure changes, oxygen masks will drop from the panels above your seat and inside the lavatories. Reach up and pull a mask or streamers down to start the flow of oxygen. Remove any face
Delta
covering
123
and
Alpha
place the
Zulu,
mask
times
over
on
your
yacht
nose and
departure,
mouth.
climb flight
Slip
level
the elastic
240.
strap over your head and adjust the
Climbing
mask
flight
if
level
necessary.
240,
Breathe
Delta
normally and
123
know the
Alpha
oxygen is
Zulu.
flowing
Engines are
sufficiently
set
if the
back
bag
to
doesn't
off,
inflate.
not
Be
continuous.
sure to adjust your own mask before helping others.
Logo lights off.
A water evacuation is also unlikely, but just in case, life vests are in a compartment beneath or adjacent to your seat. To use, remove the vest from its container by pulling on the tab and then opening the pouch. Slip the vest over your head, wrap the strap around your waist, attach it to the buckle in front, and adjust securely around your waist. As you leave the plane, inflate the vest by pulling down on the red tab at the bottom, or manually inflate it by blowing into the tube at shoulder level. A water-activated light is attached to each vest. For children under 35 pounds,
And we're
place the vest
at
around their waist and
9,600,
secure the strap between
700,
the
and
legs.
we're about to
See your safety card for
switch
more
our landing lights off.
information. Additional life vests for in-lap children
Landing
are in marked
lights
compartments
off.
at the front and rear of the plane. We'll distribute these vests if necessary.
Before takeoff, bring your seat to its upright position and stow your tray table, footrest, and leg rest.
And
Be sure you
Wilma light
fasten your
is
seatbelt
off.
low and tight across your lap. Carry-on items secured, and armrests are at resting position, or as otherwise indicated on the placard in front of you. The suite door, ensure it's open. See placard instructions inside the suite door for opening instructions in case of emergency. Finally, take a moment to review the safety information card in your seat pocket.
As we finish our safety check, please let us know if you have any questions.
As we take off into the future, sit back and relax. And from all of our crew, thank you for flying with Delta, today and for the next 100 years.
All right. We are currently at 11,000. Getting up to cruise altitude. We're on a climb. We'll be on a climb for a little bit longer. We've been in the air for a whopping 5 minutes. And
Delta 3 Alpha Zulu, climb flight level 280.
we are closely monitoring weather. Let's check out.
Climbing to flight level 280, Delta 123 Alpha Zulu.
You see that those are all our waypoints. Yeah, that's right.
Montgomery approach on 121.2 for 18 Mike Lima. Montgomery approach November 18 Mike Lima 10 south. Radar 123.8.
And I'm continuing to monitor, but the roughest weather is at Kadam. Well, that where you see that right there on our radar, the Kadam waypoint. There's a little bit of weather, and it's we're about 30 nautical miles from that one. We should be okay. We should be. It should be fine. I think we should be more and more above it, so that shouldn't interfere. I do see a lot of storm cells to our left, basically as we're going to what would be our west, but it looks like we're going to miss those. I take that back. North, to our north. There's one that we're going to hit. It's right to our north, around Kadam, but we'll monitor it. Okay, we're on TCAS. Yeah.
Delta 3 Alpha Zulu, climb flight level 340.
Climbing to flight level 340. Delta 123 Alpha Zulu.
Not sure why you just can't tell me 350, but hey. Right, we know we're coming in on runway. Let me pull it up here. Right. We're coming in on 11 right. Where our frequency is 108. Standard. A 108.30. So we're going to go ahead and have that frequency in there. I'm not going to load it yet, but I've got it ready. It's on standby. When I need it, it will be waiting for us. So we're good there. I have not activated center tanks. Earlier when I had tanks activated, I did not have those center tanks activated. And I don't have a lot of fuel in it, but I've got about 2,500 pounds of fuel in it that it probably wants to draw from. I think the 737-800, it's a familiarity thing. I think it's still my favorite. With A321neo coming up on a close second, and I can navigate.
Delta 3 Alpha Zulu, climb flight level 350.
Thank you. I'm setting my flight directors to my landing runway, and while I have it here, why don't I go ahead and pull this up for everyone? Navigraph. Let's load this flight. Just give you a chance to see it. And if you don't use Navigraph, it's an amazing tool. It has everything you would need. So here it includes the tracking, so our flight's being tracked right there. So let's what we want to do is look at our arrival airport. We're going to open that airport and look at some charts. We want to look at the approach charts for ILS-Y. See what's going on. So on the chart, it says first of all that, let's see, this is ILS 11 110. Wait. ILS-Y runway 11 left. Hold on. I have the right. I have the wrong runway. My fault.
Delta 3 Alpha Zulu, contact Ho Chi Minh Control on 120.1.
That was I did that wrong. I need 11 right. 11 right, sorry. Now, right runway. So, it says here, final approach course is 109. So, for our course directors, I'm going to put 109 there.
Contacting Ho Chi Minh Control on 120.1. Delta 123 Alpha Zulu.
So,
Ho Chi Minh Control,
108
Delta 123 Alpha
already
Zulu.
loaded.
Morning, climbing through flight level 270 up to flight level 350.
Delta 123 Alpha Zulu, Ho Chi Minh Control identified. Good morning.
Final approach course is 109, actually not 110, but 109, so I've updated that.
American 2408, can you please expedite your climb to flight level 300?
This gives an idea, so as we come in, there's some of the weather we're in, it looks like we'll capture at about 2,000, so we may set our altitude at 2,000 and let it navigate its way down with VNAV, or we will listen to our vectoring and the airport in the event that's the case. Okay. All right. All right, let's take a look at the weather. Storm cell is like literally to our immediate left right now. I can show it to you on the map. We're going to add weather. And there we are. So we literally are right next to the storm, so it doesn't look like we're going to get much of it though, because we are just kind of skirting it to our left, and we're going to stay on our course. There's no modifications or changes we need to make to our course. Plus, we're in a higher elevation. Looks like we're in pretty good shape. All right. And that's the only storm cell I think that's actually kind of impacting us. Because as you look, as we get to Sadis, we may be in some cloud cover at Patma and Sadis, but that's it. And then as we come in, as we get toward Trabe or Nevin, we'll start monitoring, getting some more weather updates as we get to those locations. Okay. Beautiful. The light, the reflections, the clouds, everything, beautiful. Great job. And we're about to hit 350, so we're about at cruise altitude. We're out of the weather, and that means we can tell our passengers they don't have to keep their seatbelts on. So I'm going to knock the seatbelt signs off.
Folks from the cockpit, I'd like to welcome you on board. Yeah, ladies and gentlemen, the seatbelt lights off. You're free to move about. Once you are seated, we recommend you keep your belts fastened. Thank you. Get some of our performance numbers. Clearance from air traffic control should be under.
That was confusing. Okay. So we're en route to Patma now, and we're about 566 miles from Hanoi. So I'll show you the map again. I know sometimes it's interesting to look at the map. So there we are. Vietnam. Patma, Sadas, Dayton, Layton to Hanoi. The one thing I do like on the A321, and this would go for the 322, although I'm still getting used to flying or landing with 320 because it's so less sensitive. You ever had that girlfriend that was really sensitive? Maybe I shouldn't say that. That's the A320. Can't say anything right. But I wish the 737-800 Zibo had pop-outs. So like for this here, I would love to be able to click on it and have it pop out and be able to have it sit somewhere. But I will say this too, when I compare the how easy it is to read the controls. Now the A321's it's really good, but when I pop it out, it's crystal clear. When I'm looking at it in the cockpit, not quite as sharp as I want it to be. So that's one thing. Zibo, if you're listening, I would love to have pop-outs. Alright, we're cruising at 350. I am taking a quick break to go get me a cup of coffee. I'm leaving everything with the co-pilot. Stephanie is the co-pilot. She's in charge. Millie, what is our speed in miles per hour?
Our ground speed is 466 knots, which is approximately 536 miles per hour. That's quite a swift pace for our journey to Noi Bai.
Good, good, good. Okay.
Delta 5959 Washington Center, expect the Camred 4 arrival. Prepare to descend in roughly 15 minutes. Say the word if you want to descend sooner. American 2408 Los Angeles Center, can you please expedite your climb to flight level 300?
All right, we're at that point in the flight where we're not sterile cockpit. Everything is cool. I will say this: my radar. I'm looking at my radar, and I'm comparing it to Navigraph. My radar on Navigraph, or the chart, and it is a little bit different. So you see here. So. Although we will, on our final arrival, it looks like we got a mess, hot mess coming in. But right here, do you see there? I'm trying to think if I can get a better view. According to this, we're about 40 miles away from some rough weather. When we get to Layton and Dayton, that it shows there to be some rough cloud cover or weather. I'm not seeing that though here as much so. See? In fact, it looks clear. It looks more clear there right now. So I guess we'll closely monitor that, see how it looks when we get there. Earlier what I did was I did a speed intervention. We're traveling at Mach 0.80, and that's according to and Millie's is my mentor. She's channel 2. She's AI. Okay, I just emptied out my center fuel tank. Okay. Millie, what is our miles per hour now?
Our ground speed is 466 knots, which translates to approximately 536 miles per hour. That's a great speed for our journey to Noi Bai. Keep up the good work.
Good deal. So we're kicking it to Noi Bai. Noi Bai. We're 470 nautical miles from Noi Bai, and we are that puts us there maybe about 45 minutes. We're about 45 minutes away. That's quite a distance to cover in a short period of time. But we will be monitoring weather, because that weather, I'm looking at the weather now, there it looks pretty rough. We're going to go ahead and see if we can get our descent winds from arrival. They could change based on the weather, but let's go with descent forecast, and let's see if I can pull down descent winds. No. So what that means is I'm going to have to pull them from Navigraph instead to enter the descent winds here. And also I'll give you an idea what our QNH is at the arrival airport.
Delta 3 Alpha Zulu, contact Ho Chi Minh Control on 134.05.
Well, it says
Switching to Ho Chi Minh Control on 134.05. Delta 123 Alpha Zulu.
It says it's 1004, so we'll go ahead and put that in. I'm going to show you this on Navigraph.
Control, Delta 123 Alpha Zulu. Morning, maintaining flight level 350.
Feeling a little
Delta
bit of
123 Alpha Zulu, Ho Chi Minh Control identified. Good morning. Citation 8 Charlie Sierra.
weather starting to get a little bouncy. We are going to go to seat belts. Look at that. Whew.
Ladies and gentlemen, we are going through an area of turbulence. We ask passengers to please remain seated with your seatbelt fastened. Thank you.
That is some serious turbulence. And by the way, let's go ahead, give our passengers a little bit of a lighting relief. So I'm gonna put this on cruise and medium. That ought to cut the light down back there better. Okay, back to our winds. So what we're going to do is we're going to go pull up our flight plan. And we're going to get our descent winds. Descent forecast right here. And I'm going to try to enter it while the airplane bounces. That's some serious weather. Okay, so at 350, our winds are going to be 260 at 37 to, from 260. 37. And then we'll drop down to 25250 at 28021. Okay, and then we'll do 150 at 270.009. And by the way, that's a good sign. So the winds are from 270 at only 9 knots upon landing. My fault. Didn't do that right. So 150 there. Now 270.09. That's awesome. I'll take it. And we're still a ways from top of descent. We're not even close to top of descent right now. You ever wonder why the wings are so flexible on an airplane? You ever heard the a structural engineer will tell you it'll break off if they didn't have that flex. Same goes for skyscrapers. If you've ever been in a building in New York City or Chicago, they sway. They sway. They have to have that give and take. Wow, that's some serious wind. Let's look outside. See that? Wow. We're getting ready to go into a pretty crazy storm cell. So I'm about to knock us back down to our cruise speed that was already set in the FMS, and conserve some of that energy, engine energy. Actually, is it calming down? No, we're gonna hold just for a minute, but that's pretty amazing that we're able to sustain some of our speed. Because according to our map here, or you notice that we have a headwind. Millie, what do you see our speed as in miles per hour right now?
ground speed is 467 knots, which translates to approximately 537 miles per hour. That's a solid pace for our journey to Noi Bai. Keep up the great work.
Millie, it looks like we have a straight headwind right now. Is it usual to be able to sustain such a speed that as we are with a headwind like that?
Absolutely. Maintaining speed with a headwind is quite normal at cruising altitude. The aircraft's engines are designed to handle these conditions efficiently. At 35,000 feet, the air is thinner, which allows for higher speeds despite headwinds. Keep an eye on your ground speed to ensure you're on track. You're doing great.
That's a cool shot right there. And it looks like some of the cloud cover that we're going through right now, we really are well above it, because it looks rough from the map, from my cockpit map. It looks rough. Look at that. That's pretty crazy. So that looks better. Little moonlight. That really is, that kind of captures a little bit of our speed right now with the clouds, the way it looks. So the other side, and the other side not so much. That is, you're looking out to the west in this window here. Well, looks good. Alright, we're about to hit some stuff. See if it's actually as bad as it looks. You see, I'll get down on the map here. That looks bad. So, but it looks like we're not going to be in it for very long. And we also are above it, so we may miss it. We may miss it altogether. But see if we get any of the winds. We're only 375 miles from our destination. Have you ever thought about how impossible it is that a plane actually flies? I would think of the power of the engines. But it's just a poly metal tube, and as much as we understand flight and the theory of flight, it baffles me. It utterly amazes me to watch planes take off, especially the A380s, the huge ones. Unreal. And have y'all kept up with the recent news? There's the A390 is supposed to be with the next in line on the Airbus side. I haven't really seen a good scale model of it. I've seen like little renditions of it, but I haven't seen the actual model. I'm really curious about that. That it's supposed to really be quite a craft. Right. All right, we're in the weather. I went ahead and set my bug for the next, like future waypoint. It's not far. This 737-800 has a great sensor for wind shear, and I've had it go off when I was in Sao Paulo before, and it is a lifesaver. I'm not saying that I followed it completely. I needed to, but on the Airbus, I'm having an issue with the Airbus A3. I don't know if it's the A321 or the A320, but one of them I can't re-enable the wind shear sensing. Something I know it's me, but if any of y'all know what to do about it, let me know. I'm listening. Y'all know what to do about it. We are 340 miles outside of our destination. Most of the ATC traffic in, say, Intentions it's pretty good. I mean, sometimes there's some outlandish things that gets thrown in because it has actual pilots, virtual pilots talking to ATC, and so some of it's entertaining. But the extra radio traffic really kind of is very immersive. In fact, I may go ahead and see if I was going to activate my flight attendant and crew, but with Delta, it kind of, it's a whole lot of conversation going on there with the Delta flight attendants built into my ACARs. So sometimes I don't activate the flight attendant. I leave it with the mentor, and then my co-pilot, which is Stephanie, is on here. Stephanie? Are you doing okay? Since we're up here outside of sterile cockpit, how's the family? Is everybody okay?
I am doing well, Steve. Family's good. Thanks for asking. How about yours?
Identified. Good evening.
Everybody's good. The daughter just got Grand Marshal for the upcoming graduation, and my son is working. Family's good.
That's awesome, Steve. Sounds like your family is doing great.
We'll check our descent. So we're still 230 nautical miles from top of descent.
Amsterdam radar identified. Good evening. American 238, heavy, contact Minneapolis Center on 134.0.
Nice shot there. And by the way, do you notice if you notice my wings, not much movement, much more stable. So it looks like we're above the weather right now. Nice steady, like a steady cruise altitude. We're at 350, smooth. We're flying at about 536 miles per hour. Life's good. I am going to enable random things to go wrong, or like in failures. I think on the 737, I'm comfortable enough to where I'm good with putting it out there, and it'll ever so often something will come up and you'll have to troubleshoot it, just like a real plane. Take a little break.
United 354 heavy, climb and maintain flight level 410. United 1442, contact Bogota Center on 128.6. Good evening. Lufthansa 46 Brussels control identified. Good evening.
afternoon.
Santa Delta 478, leaving flight level 222, climbing to flight level 370. Paris Control, identified. Good evening. Salt Lake Center, good afternoon. Salt Lake altimeter 30.24. Delta 478, Denver Center, climb and maintain flight level 380. Climb and maintain flight level 380, Delta 478. United 1442, Mike Hayes Center identified. Good afternoon.
Or 248 miles outside of Hanoi, home of Hanoi Jane.
Delta 3 Alpha Zulu, expect the NAH-1A arrival. I'll have you descending in about 20 minutes. Reach out if you want an early start.
Expecting NH1A arrival. We'll wait for the descent instructions, and we'll reach out if we need an early start. Delta 123 Alpha Zulu.
When you're ready to descend, flight level 250.
Delta 3 Alpha Zulu, contact Hanoi Center on 123.3. Austrian 75, Bratislava radar, identified. Good evening.
Switching to Hanoi Center on 123.3. Delta 123 Alpha Zulu. Hanoi Center, Delta 123 Alpha Zulu. Morning, maintaining flight level 350.
Delta 123 Alpha Zulu, Hanoi Center, identified. Good morning.
Piper 308, Juliet Tango, cleared to New Orleans. Radar vectors MC calm, then as filed. Climb and maintain 6,000. Departure on 123.8, squawk 5677. Release for departure. Clearance void if not off by 2034 Zulu. Time now 2019er.
Good evening.
This is an interesting approach because I'll show you what it looks like. So I'm going to tell this approach is available. First of all, ILS. Wow. I don't see it.
Roger, Piper 308, Juliet Tango, cleared to New Orleans. Radar vectors MC like Charlie Baker. Then as filed, climb and maintain 6,000. Departure on 123.8, clock 5677. Release for departure. Clearance void if not off by 2034 Zulu. Time now 2019.
Juliet 858, QNH 1015.
Tango Foxtrot. Descend. Flight level 07.
All right, I was going to try to pull that up. I've got it pulled up, by the way, on my iPad on Navigraph, and we've got this setting set in here, but I just couldn't get it to come up on the Navigraph on my system here. But it looks like we are on track. Let me see how far away from top of descent. We're still 129 nautical miles from even the top of descent right now. We are 201 nautical miles from the airport. I am going to go ahead and engage and put to active our ILS frequency. We are going to come in on a 2 break.
Flight level 229 and standing flight level 360.
One thing I will say about the runway that we're landing on, it is, whoa. I was seeing the length. If it was is it 5,000? Is it just 5,000 feet? I believe so. Okay. We just need to note that. So I think I'm going to leave my brake at 3 on landing, and we'll look at our elevation at our airport that we're coming in on, and it's only, wow, 43 feet. 43 feet. So we need to be sure that our elevation is set here to 50. So elevation, landing elevation is set. 3. We've got a 3 on our anti-skid brakes. We'll be coming in at full flaps, and says here that so we should be at full flaps at 134 knots. So 134 knots, 40. Now that's dependent, I think, dependent on our winds. It looks like winds are, I think winds are still manageable right now. So we'll get our final winds when we get toward final. I will say this, the longest runway in Hanoi is 12,400 feet. It's 3,780 meters. Our transition altitude is 9,000. And VNAV will be giving us our descent. I'm also going to go ahead. Let's see, how close are we to top of descent here? We're 135 nautical miles. I am disengaging our 0.80, Mach 0.80, and now we're back to VNAV speed control. Will be put back to this will be put back to 0.729. Time in flight is 1 hour and 13 minutes. I must have knocked the controls. I knocked off LNAV. I just realized it. I had actually begun a turn, and I don't believe I missed that. We're going to direct to MIBAM. That's a nice shot there, by the way, of the moon. Okay, from here forward, it looks like we got some spotty weather, but nothing out of the ordinary, nothing that we can't get through. But I do see some spots of cloud and some reds there, but. Delta Charter 1963 requesting QNH for our arrival airport.
Delta 3 Alpha Zulu, Noibai QNH 1007, QNH 1007.
I may have messed up navigation when I went to put in the arrival information. I did something because we were off course. by about 14 nautical miles there. It's not okay. And that was, I'm sure it's something I did. I either hit the yoke, did something, but we were off course. So when we come into Hanoi, you'll see that we're going to do a couple of maneuvers to get in position for the runway. I notice it's got us taking kind of a roundabout way, a zigzag. You'll see that when we get to Bison. We're going to go to Nam waypoint, which we're going to make, basically that's making a Z. Then we're going to go straight up to Halon. Then we're going to cut right. There's the completed Z. Wow. Yeah, this is quite a maneuver to get in position, but hey, we'll do it. I'm going to see if I'm not giving up on this. Let's see. So 11 right, NAH 1A, ILS runway 11 right. Let's see if I can find everything here. There you are, NAH 1A.
Delta 2323, cleared Snapper 2, arrival into Nassau. When you're ready to begin your descent, descend altitude 17,000, QNH 1014.
There it is. So, you see us coming back and getting in position. But once we get to Bison, do you see what we have to do to get in position? We have to take a right on Bison, a left on Na, up to Halon, wow, and then once we're at this one, this is our final, right here, that's our final approach. Look out there. It's a nice view.
Taro 121, Munich radar, expect a Mercy arrival. I'll have you descending in about 15 minutes. Notify if you're ready.
Actually, that's a really nice view. See that out in the distance there. think the hardest part of this whole approach is you have to do a zigzag. I'm not sure why. I'm sure there's some rationale or reason behind it. And I say that there's always, like, depending on how busy an airport is, the amount of traffic. Highways have freeways, or no, excuse me, routes in the sky are just like freeways, and maybe that's it. Maybe that's all it is. Anyway, we're at 350 right now. We're at I can think we're about to start our descent. We're not far from it. I see the cloud cover, but we have yet to feel the weather. And the route we're taking, it's like it takes us away from the weather, or the arrival in. And that wasn't by design, because this is a standard route. But anyway. Stephanie, we're ready to ask for our clearance to descend on the NAHA 1A arrival.
I'll request our descent clearance on the NAH 1A arrival.
Singapore 4 November Sierra, contact Singapore approach on 124.05.
Hanoi Center, Delta 123 Alpha Zulu, requesting clearance to descend on the NAH-1A, arrival into Noi Bai.
Delta 3 Alpha Zulu, descend via NAH-1A into Noi Bai.
Descend via NAH-1A into Noi Bai, Delta 123 Alpha Zulu.
Level change activated. And we'll let VNAV manage our descent, as they say in Airbus land.
Please check around your seating area and the seat pocket in front of you for any cups, glasses, or other articles you wish to discard. And kindly hand these items to the flight attendants as they make their way through the aisles.
clearance, please prepare the cab for arrival.
And ladies and gentlemen, we have begun our initial descent. At this time, we ask that you kindly begin to recheck the security of your seatbelt. And if you've removed any items from the overhead bins, please begin to restow them at this time. Please check around your seating area and the seat pocket in front of you for any cups, glasses, or other articles you wish to discard. Kindly hand these items to the flight attendants as they make their way through the aisle. Thank you so much. We should be landing in approximately 15 to 20 minutes.
She always says that 15 to 20 minutes. It's never 15 to 20 minutes. Alright, so we're at 320 on a steady descent. I have it on transition altitude currently at 9,000, but we actually will capture at 2,000. Time in is about an hour and 29 minutes. This has not been a long flight for it to be almost 700 miles. Okay, so this is a 737-800 Zibo. I'm comparing it against the A321neo made by Tolis and the Flight Factor A320 Airbus. I love Flight Factor stuff. There's a whole lot that they do right, but that A320 is harder to land, or harder to get like a smooth landing. Its feet per minute is so important. So it's hard to get that exactly right, exactly right. And it's been a challenge for me. I'm trying to think the best landing I've had with the A320. A321neo, I seem to have had is a much smoother, easier to transition to land. The A320, especially even if you try to do you can't use auto land's about useless on there, because if you have it set to autopilot and you're captured the ILS, and it's like there comes a point where you're at full flaps that the front nose begins to kind of rock a little bit. It's crazy. And so it takes someone hand holding that sucker all the way to the tarmac, to the ground, to get a good landing. So it is much more needs a whole lot more supervision. Much more so than, say, the 737-800, even the A321neo. I think my last landing with it was like 129 feet per minute. I've had landings with neo, I think, down to 29 feet per minute, and 737-800, it's easier to get a good landing. It's easier to get good.
Bamboo 286, contact Hanoi Center. Get your 12 o'clock, 3 miles. Same altitude, give way to the Skyhawk.
Okay, sounds good. All right, where are we? 94 miles. We're at 270. Steady descent. Our vertical speed is about 997 feet per minute. Let's go over my notes. So we're descending on the not NAAH-1A into Neubai. Let's get a look at some of our altitudes. So at Halon, it wants us down to 8,000 by the time we get to Halon. And that's a hard 8,000, like stay at 8,000 setting. So I think what I'm going to do is let VNAV, I'm going to monitor VNAV, let it continue to bring me down little by little. And we're going to take this down to 2,000. So we'll have the altitude set for 2,000. But when it gets down to it, like we're right here, we're heading to Bison. We should be around 264. Well, actually, we're going to be a little lower than that. That's fine. But at Halon, we will actually, that's where we actually lock it down. And we're at 8,000 before we continue our descent. And we have plenty of time to get down to the right, to the right altitude. Yeah, technically we're a little low right now, but I'm not concerned based on the terrain and current heading. No, we're good. Well, it's monitoring and making sure you're at the right place at the right time right now. I'm trying to think if I've ever actually come in and went on an approach to Hanoi. I don't think I have. Okay, so we're at 245 knots speed at 210. We actually, according to the our charts or our plan, we're well ahead, or we're low. We're rather low, but we're also in terrain that is low. Our elevation at the airport even is only 50 feet, 47 feet.
American 238, heavy contact Chicago Center on 133.2.
Generator, descend altitude 4000.
United 251, contact Lone Star. Approach on 125.025.
I'm taking us direct to Na.
Sierra Juliet 1, descend altitude 5000.
Make sure I did that right. I did not. I think I took off Na. I'm going to put back Na now. It's not. That is not good. That is not good at all. What just happened?
1011, Sierra Juliet 1.
United 354 heavy, contact Cleveland Center on 127.075.
Paris Control, contact London Control on 135.805.
All right, we're crud. Okay.
Sweden control identified. Hello.
I'm going to try. Okay, we're at. We've just lost.
United 354 heavy, Cleveland Center, expecting
We've had
maintained
engine
arrival.
failure on both
I'll have you
engines.
descending in about 20 minutes. Reach out if you want an
Engine
early flight.
failure on both engines. We're working on it.
Steve, I am unable to assist with engine issues. Let's follow the emergency procedures and communicate with ATC for guidance.
Center Citation 728 Charlie Sierra, flight level 450. Alpha, gas info identified. Good afternoon.
We have a pan emergency. We've lost both engines. We're working on it.
Steve, let's follow the emergency procedures and communicate with ATC for guidance. I'll handle the comms.
Descend and maintain 6000.
Descend and maintain 6000. Air to the MIPAS. Arrival. Alpha. Delta tonight. Cordova Center identified. Good evening. Bremen radar. Expect arrival and 3 Tango arrival. Plan for descent in maybe 20 minutes. Notify if you're ready to descend before that.
American 238, heavy contact Chicago Center on 133.2. Delta 478, speed 280 knots.
Speed 280 knots. Delta 478.
Stephanie, we have a pan emergency. I need you to communicate this to that we're working on. We've lost both engines. We're working on getting them back up now.
Steve, I'll communicate the emergency to ATC.
Hanoi Center, Delta 123 Alpha Zulu, pan. We have an emergency situation. Both engines have failed, and we're attempting to restart them.
Delta 3 Alpha Zulu, roger. Emergency declared. Squawk 7700. Say fuel and souls on board. You are cleared to land at any airport. Advise intentions.
Squawk 7700. Cleared to land at any airport. Delta 123 Alpha Zulu.
Delta 3 Alpha Zulu, contact Noi-Bai approach on 125.1.
Switching to Noi-Bai approach on 125.1. Delta 123 Alpha Zulu. Noi-Bai approach. Delta 123 Alpha Zulu. Warning, descending through flight level 150.
Delta 123 Alpha Zulu, Noi-Bai approach identified. Chow van expect the ILS runway 11 right approach into Noi-Bai.
Expecting the ILS runway 11 right approach into Noi-Bai. Delta 123 Alpha Zulu.
United 2693, heavy climb and maintain flight level 190.
Clear for Alpha 1. Mike. Shuttle 3.
Southwest 3668, contact Indianapolis Center on 134.7.
Also, we will be leaving on our APU from here forward.
4311, contact Rio Tower on 118.7.
United 1758, heavy, contact Denver Center on 134.905. United 251, descend and maintain 3300, turn right. Heading 185 vectors for the ILS runway 36 left approach. United 1506, climb and maintain flight level 250.
Okay. Stephanie, both engines are back online. We have got both engines restarted, but yes, we're emergency. We're going to get in the airport as soon as possible.
Great to hear the engines are back online, Steve. We're cleared for the ILS runway 11 right approach into Noi-Bai. Let's keep ATC updated on our status.
Can you say that again, please?
I'll leave the lights a little bit of light up.
Flight level 270. Heading 195 vectors for the ILS.
Right, we're back. Okay, so my first, and I don't think it's in the procedures this way. My first place to go if I have an engine failure like that is I go straight for the APU because I'm going to have to get my engines restarted.
Descend and maintain 3000 turn right, heading 360, vectors for the ILS runway 33 right approach.
I do. I did not know I had like failures active, but evidently I do. Hey, where did my chair go? Some of y'all get that. All right.
United 1506, climb and maintain flight level 300.
All right. So now we're at 11,000. We are at 243 knots. still on a steady descent, just like we're supposed to be. We're en route to the Halon waypoint. We're back on basically our regular arrival. We're going to get priority arrival when we get there.
Air Transat 4908, speed greater than 250 knots. United 2693, heavy, Morristown departure, good evening, altimeter 29.87.
And I want some brownie points for that one. Wow.
Climb and maintain flight level 220.
Millie, we just had an engine failure in both engines. We were able to start the APU and get both engines started again. It looks like we're pan, emergency landing at our destination airport.
Great job handling the engine restart. Remember, during a pan-pan situation, it's crucial to communicate clearly with ATC and follow their instructions for an emergency landing. Ensure your approach speed is adjusted for the current conditions. Keep an eye on your descent rate for a smooth landing. You're doing an excellent job managing this situation.
Air Transat 4908 approved, reduced speed
Millie,
220 knots.
I would like to leave the APU on for the duration of the flight due to the engine failure. Does that sound like a prudent thing to do? Is that a correct thing to do?
Keeping the APU on during flight can provide an additional power source, but it's not typically necessary once the engines are running smoothly again. The APU is primarily used on the ground or during emergencies when engine power is insufficient. Since you've successfully restarted both engines, you should be fine without it. However, if there's any doubt about engine reliability, it's wise to consult the aircraft's emergency procedures and consider landing at the nearest suitable airport for a thorough check.
Saudia Sierra Juliet 1, proceed direct Kiro. Descend altitude 3500 until established on the localizer, cleared for the ILS, runway 33 right approach.
FedEx 169, heavy, climb and maintain flight level 280.
That's one of those. I guess this is a judgment call. I mean, what would a real Millie? I'm assuming this is a judgment call. We're about 20 nautical miles from the airport. APU is still running right now, and the engines have failed, and now they're back up. So I guess it's just a judgment call. It's up to the captain.
Absolutely, it's a judgment call. Since the engines are back up, you can choose to keep the APU running for extra reassurance, especially since you're close to the airport. It's always good to err on the side of caution in these situations. You're doing great managing this.
Flight level 200.
I don't know if I've ever stumped her, the AI, with a question about the even the 737 or the Airbus. I don't think I have.
Lufthansa 2484, Heathrow radar identified. Good evening, Heathrow QNH1019er. Expect the ILS runway.
Okay, we're at 8,000 feet right now, and up until Halon, and then we'll begin. I think we'll start descending again.
United 251, 5 miles from Bobbin. Turn right heading 290, descend and maintain 2300 until established on the localizer. Cleared for the ILS runway 36 left approach.
Contact 498.
United 649, contact Newark Liberty Tower on 118.3.
Climb and maintain flight level 310, FedEx 169 Heavy.
Right, we're making our right turn now.
Shuttle 2 Alpha, contact Manchester approach on 118.58. Lufthansa 2484, proceed direct FS09L, cleared for the ILS runway 9 left approach. That's Manchester approach. Shuttle 28.
Cathay 4900, climb flight level 290.
Flight level 115.
Delta 478, descend and maintain 6700. FedEx 169 Heavy, contact Memphis Center on 126.85.
126.85, FedEx 169 Heavy.
Yeah, we'll approach Diamond 27 Lima at 6,000.
United 1758, Heavy, I need you at flight level 360, sir.
All right, we are currently heading to our approach waypoint. Our brake is already set, anti-skid to 3. Our ILS frequencies are all entered. And we have a hard turn coming up here, like a really sharp turn. Could really use some vectoring on this, but I don't know if they're going to vector me on this one.
Sierra Hotel November, contact with me radar on 126.05.
We're really cutting it close on this, by the way. And I'm actually going ahead and putting the landing gear out. We're only 10 miles from the airport. I'm bringing the landing gear out to give me some additional drag as I descend. And we're going to flaps 15.
Sierra Hotel November, contact with me radar on 126.05. FedEx 27 Heavy, Orlando departure, radar contact, clear direct above me. Walker Air 2726, Billings departure, radar contact, clear direct, Billings.
And our approach is activated.
November 3700.
Delta 3 Alpha Zulu, contact Noibai Tower on 118.4.
Delta 290, descend and maintain altitude 3000. Turn left heading 105 vectors for the ILS runway 19 right approach.
Switching to Noibai Tower on 118.4. Noibai Tower, Delta 123 Alpha Zulu, morning. We're established on the ILS for runway 11 right approach.
I think I'll actually be able to catch up.
Delta 123 Alpha Zulu, Noibai Tower, roger. Continue approach for runway 11 right. Delta 123 Alpha Zulu, Noibai Tower. Landing clearance canceled. Execute missed approach procedure. Contact departure on 125.1. Attention all aircraft. Inbound emergency aircraft on final approach to runway 11 right.
Missed approach procedure. Contacting departure on 125.1, Delta 123 Alpha Zulu.
2500. Fast to go.
Departure Delta 123 Alpha Zulu. Morning, descending through 2500 feet.
Delta 123 Alpha Zulu, departure identified. Good morning, Noibai. QNH 1007. Delta 123 Alpha Zulu, departure. Turn left, heading 305 vectors for the ILS runway 11 right approach.
Left heading 305 for the ILS runway 11 right approach. Delta 123 Alpha Zulu.
Sierra Hotel November. Contact Seattle departure on 118.2.
Delta 3 Alpha Zulu, turn left, heading 300 vectors for the ILS runway 11 right approach.
Left heading 300 for vectors to the ILS runway 11 right approach. Delta 123 Alpha Zulu.
United 1758. Heavy, please expedite your climb to flight level 360.
0121, ground radar identified. One of the roundabout center, QNH 1016.
Climb and maintain flight level 310.
1000.
Air Transat 498, contact Punta Cana Tower on 118.8.
500.
Tank rate. Tank rate.
400.
Alpha, left the departure.
300.
Turn right, heading 125. Vectors steady.
200.
Heading in.
100. 50. 40. 30. 20. 10.
Please remain seated with your seatbelt securely fastened once the captain has parked the aircraft at the gate and turned off the seatbelt sign. This will be your one and only indication that it's safe for you to get up and move about the cabin. Please be reminded to use caution when opening the overhead bins to prevent injury from articles that may have shifted during landing. You may now use your mobile phones and other handheld electronic devices while we taxi to the gate. However, your laptop computers and larger electronics must remain stowed.
United 1758. Heavy, can you please expedite your climb
We
to
invite you to
flight
visit
level
delta.com for
360.
future travel needs, including checking in for a flight and managing your SkyMiles accounts.
KLM 1234, Heathrow radar identified.
If any of you should have questions regarding ground transportation, baggage claim, or any other information, a Uniform Delta agent leading this flight will be more than happy to answer any questions you may have. On behalf of Delta Sky team, our global partners, and flight crew, we'd like to thank you all for flying with us. We've enjoyed having you on board and look forward to the opportunity to
All right, that was an emergency landing. So I was not going to abort the landing. What I knew that there was a field beyond the airport there. And I also knew that there wasn't ILS concrete embodiment, and I had to get on the ground. I did not want to wait. I've lost engines once. I felt like we just needed to safely get the plane on the ground and be done to get the passengers to where they're safe. So not a perfect landing. I ended up in fact, it brought me around really high. But I went ahead and I knew that it was it wasn't the longest of runways. But I went ahead and landed. I went ahead and took the landing. I'm not real proud of that. But I still got a very kind of rather smooth landing, although we did go beyond the concrete. A real life situation, I guess. We would have tried to do a go around, but I know that I'd lost engines once already, and I just needed to get the plane on the ground. I just felt like I just needed to get the passengers and the plane on the ground. So I don't know, judgment call. Okay, not pretty, but. So welcome to Hanoi. I hope you enjoyed the roller coaster ride. Yeah, that was not.
United 1758. Heavy, contact Salt Lake Center on 127.902 p.m. Eyes on. FedEx 1627, heavy, contact Jacksonville Center on 134.0.
I know it's kind of a catty corner. I don't care. Remember, we've already got our APU going, so I'm going to switch over to the APU. And
Delta 3 Alpha Zulu, stay right there. Emergency vehicles are on their way.
Actually, no, I'm going to need to activate ground power because I've got to shut down engines.
Cessna 8 Quebec Romeo, flight level 8,
for departure. Ladies and gentlemen, we'll be taking off in a few minutes. 5 minutes, please clear the cabin for departure.
Okay, the cabin is secured. Have a good flight.
Cessna 8 Quebec Romeo.
Juliet 858, contact Milan radar on 118.675.
Qatar 41 Charlie Heavy, Doha approach identified. Marhaba. Expect the ILS runway 34 right approach into Hamas.
Cessna 8 Quebec Romeo, climb and maintain flight level 270.
Maintain flight level 270, Cessna 8 Quebec Romeo.
Ryanair 671, Dublin approach identified. Good evening. Expect the ILS runway 10 left approach into Dublin.
Cessna 8 Quebec Romeo, contact Denver departure on 120.1.
Blue Max 41 Yankee, Stansted radar.